Hey guys, Mike from Boyer Bows here. Wanted to talk a little bit about bowstrings and getting a lot of questions about where I get them, do I make them. I guess I got enough videos up right now that people aren't finding my stuff as well. I make my own bowstrings. I make Flemish twist style bowstrings, and if you go to my channel and click on my videos and somehow get to my playlist section, I have all the string making videos in a playlist. You can just go watch them all in a row and get the job done that way. But for those of you who want to make their own bowstrings, and you haven't, I recommend getting a jig from. Well, I got mine from Three Rivers Archery. They may be available other places, but it just makes life easier. They're like $15 or something, $16, something like that. They're not a huge investment, and it does make your life quite a bit easier. But then they say, where do I get material? Where do I get bowstring material? Well, obviously, you can get it from Three Rivers Archery. Wherever you get the jig, probably sells the string too. But what if you want to make a bowstring at home? What if you want to do that and you don't have access to a Three Rivers Archery, or you don't want to order? Is there something you can use at home? A lot of people ask me about Paracord, and Paracord will work in a pinch, guys. It definitely will. It'll work to a degree. The problem with Paracord is it stretches. So every time you pull the bow back, it's going to come back, and the bow's brace height is going to have decreased on you. When it stretches enough, it's never going to stop. It's just going to eventually break. It's sort of a survival bow situation, and like I said, it'll work for a time, but eventually, if you keep maintaining your brace height with it, eventually it's going to break on you. The bowstring material in general is something used to be nylon cord, waxed nylon cord. Now they're using something called dacron. I'm not really sure what it is. It's got to be some kind of polymer of some kind. And dacron doesn't stretch. Or actually, let me rephrase. B50 dacron does have some stretch in it. It does, but it seems to level out after you break the string in. You may have to adjust your brace height a little bit, but then it levels out and it doesn't stretch that much anymore. It gets to a point and it stops. And that's what I use. It's the cheapest of the material. There are other materials, more often known as fast flight string, that has no stretch in it at all. It's a much smaller diameter. The problem is it can cut right through your bow. If you don't have tip overlays on your bow, it's so small in diameter it can almost act like a saw and cut through the wood on your bow. If you don't have a lot of wood backing it up, it can cut right through. So I always recommend on wood bows without tip overlays, use the dacron. But what else can you use? Well, one of the old secrets was to use dental floss. So I went ahead and made a string out of dental floss, and I found some. I found some dental floss. I found actually several types of dental floss. Apparently, they're making dental floss out of this material now. Let's see if you can. Which is basically like it looks like it's made like a hefty bag material, and this is not thread anymore. This is just a sheet of plastic. Obviously it works really well to clean your teeth, but I do not make a bow out of it, guys. It will not work. It will stretch like crazy and then break on you. I went and found some old-fashioned waxed nylon cord and made a bowstring out of it. But apparently it isn't as old-fashioned as I thought, because what used to work, this stuff really stretched a lot, and I could never get it to stop stretching. It just stretched and stretched and stretched, and eventually it's just going to break. So I guess it would do in a pinch, in a survival situation, if you had nothing else and you packed some dental floss with you in your bag and made a string out of it on the spot. And I guess the better opportunity would just have a couple of strings with you when you go out in the field. But I really don't see a use for this. It just doesn't work. Again, survival, yeah. But I used to recommend dental floss, and I guess it used to work. But maybe this new stuff they're using isn't the same. This stuff just, I wouldn't, I mean, unless you know, absolutely had to, I wouldn't use this. So the next thing I came up with, I heard about people using monofilament fishing line. Well, I didn't have any monofilament, but I did have some braid, some spectral line. And this is just what I had. This is 30-pound test Spectra. And in the world of fishing line, for all you fishermen out there, you know that monofilament stretches and is less breakable than is the fluorocarbon, because fluorocarbon has no stretch. Neither does Spectra. So in the world of fishing line, I would think that you would want to use either fluorocarbon or Spectra line. Thing is, fluorocarbon's expensive. You might as well be buying, you're going to be spending a lot more money buying fluorocarbon than you would to buy bowstring. Spectra line isn't necessarily that expensive. I guess it depends where you get it. This is 30-pound test, and I ended up making a bowstring out of it. It does not stretch at all, and I slapped it on this bow here. It's very, very small in diameter, and let's see if it'll shoot an arrow, because I'm feeling pretty good about it. The only thing is I feel like I'm tuning my guitar when I check the string on this thing, because let me just make sure that is the angle I want here. Yeah, good enough. It's I don't know if that's a G chord or a G note or an E note, but I'm gonna put this on the wash. Anyway, let's shoot an arrow. Oh, let's get my soda off the target. We don't want that. I want to drink that. Shoot an arrow. Yeah, okay, I'm going to shoot veins. Why not? There's nothing better to do, I guess. Veins on a traditional no-shelf bow. Isn't it wonderful? Yeah. Alright guys, sorry about that. Had to answer that. Let's take a couple more shots and we'll talk some more. Seems like everything's good. There's a couple of things I will say about it. Let's talk about the pros. No stretch. Definitely, if you get a spool of this stuff, it's going to be pretty cheap. Spectra, especially with the lower tests like 30 and under, are pretty inexpensive. I don't remember what I paid for that, but I got 300 yards of it for whatever I paid. I got 300 yards. Cons. Well, first, one more pro is that I don't see any difference. I don't see any difference between the dacron and this. Maybe in another video I'll take both strings to the range and put them through the crony and see what the speed difference is. But right now I don't see any different. The arrows are firing well. It really isn't as loud as I thought it would be. I mean, I thought when the notes that are coming off of this, I thought it was going to be very loud, but when I actually fire the arrow, it's pretty quiet. So I'm pretty pleased with the results. Now the cons. I've waxed it up a lot. There's no wax on it I put a lot of bow wax on it, which is not a con. What is a con is if you run your finger over this, it feels like a saw. I mean, and people talk about when they're fishing, the guys with the spectral line can actually saw through people who have monofilament or fluorocarbon line, and I can see that happening here. I think you're going to have to treat this material very similar to the way you would treat fast flight material, in that this bow has a lot of wood in the knock. There's almost, I'd say, 3/4 of an inch worth of wood in thickness here. I'm actually going to take it down a little bit, but there's a lot of thickness, and I think that if you have a small tip without a proper tip overlay on it, it's going to eat right through your bow and could cause a bow failure. The other thing that's going to be a problem is because it is such a narrow diameter. This is a 12-string Flemish twist, 6 and 6 twisted together for 12. 30-pound test, the way I'm thinking. 30-pound test with 6 strands is 180 pounds. Times that by 2 is 360 pounds worth of test, and this bow is probably about 50 pounds. So this string is more than strong enough. But it's still got such a small diameter that even when I wrap it with a serving string, the arrow knock may not click into place. You may have to buy some knocks that are, there's no click. They're going to be really loose on there. Even after a serving, I either will double serve it or I'll get some different, if I was going to use this on a regular basis, I might get some different knocks to accommodate to the narrow diameter of the string. But that's a small accommodation given how nicely this is working. So thumbs up to the spectral line, thumbs down on the dental floss and paracord, and obviously bowstring is bowstring. So there's a couple of options. If you guys have any other suggestions beyond what I've covered today, please put them in the comment section. All information that you guys impart, if you've used it and it works, let everyone know. Let's share the information, guys. Let's all learn together, and there you go. So, Mike from Boyer Bows, a couple alternatives to traditional bowstring. I forgot to mention artificial sinew. Artificial sinew is waxed nylon thread, and it works beautifully. I think you lose some speed in comparison to bowstring, but why the dental floss waxed nylon string stretches and the artificial sinew waxed nylon string doesn't stretch, or if it does to a degree that doesn't take away from the bow. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But I can tell you artificial sinew, I have plenty of artificial sinew strings, and they work. They work beautifully. They're not as fast as obviously fast flight, and they may not be as fast as the B50 dacron, but they do work. So let that mull that around a little bit too. There's another option. So yay on artificial sinew, yay on spectral line, boo on dental floss, and boo on paracord. There you go. Anyway, Mike from Boyer Bows, I hope this information you find helpful, and if you are having trouble finding a bowstring source, maybe there's a tackle shop around somewhere you can get some spectral line. Mike from Boyer Bows, guys. Thanks a lot. Take care.